So Shams Charania was on Pat McAfee earlier today, and his quote was, "This is the most, I think, anticipation team executives have had over an offseason." And he went on to say, "I think this offseason, speaking of the NBA offseason, obviously, might be the most craziest ever." Verbatim, most craziest ever. That's Shams Charania.
I don't know why, I saw that. I don't know why this would be more crazy of an offseason than a typical one. But I would say that the moment it's kind of like Rudy Gobert gets 5 firsts, and then you're like, okay, the dam has broken. Like when you want someone, there's no price that's out of line. And you've seen that. Luka gets traded. Okay, the dam has broken.
Right.
Any big name is in talks for possibility of being traded. So maybe that's where it comes from. I had seen Barry Jackson about an hour ago. He tweeted out, per Shams, the Spurs and Kevin Durant had mutual interest at the trade deadline. If San Antonio pursues again, and if Durant still wants to play there, the Heat would need to look elsewhere to upgrade.
If you're Kevin Durant, though, why do you want to stay in the Western Conference?
I mean, play with Wemby.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm not saying that it's a bad situation in San Antonio. Like that's a phenomenal situation. And think about Greg Popovich leaves the coaching, leaves the sidelines, becomes, what do you call himself? El Padre or
Yeah, something like that. El Jefe.
El Jefe, yeah. And his first addition as team president, general manager is Kevin Durant. There's something cool there. I think for KD too.
True.
Like he'd be
True.
Yeah, I think there's something cool there. I'm not saying the Spurs a bad situation. That's a great situation. But you want to stay in the West, you're not going to win the title.
So let me ask you, would you rather stay in the West and play with Victor Wembanyama, or would you rather come to the East and play with Bam?
Come to the East and play with Bam Adebayo. I'm probably the wrong guy to ask about that, because I'd rather come to the East and play with Joel Anthony too.
The first, so Barry Jackson tweets that out. The first response is from, that Austin guy, Chef Trilly.
Yeah.
And it's a GIF of DeMar DeRozan, who I believe they're going to end up with. I really do, just because it makes sense for our show. And Barry Jackson says, LOL, I know you're not a DeRozan fan, and I get it. To me, his scoring and durability would help, but he or someone like him needs to be the second best guy you add this offseason, not the best. But if you take Kevin Durant off the board, there's not, there's not a ton of guys available. Again, if you're including Giannis, if you really think he's going to end up somewhere else, I mean, there's, a couple names, but man.
So I had prepared this in case we got to talk about it Tuesday today, and I was going to venture off into some DeMar DeRozan stuff. So why not do it right here? I was stealing this from the Locked On Heat pod, because there is that report that DeMar DeRozan and the Kings, we talked about it like two weeks ago, and the Heat and DeMar DeRozan always get linked together. And now that Jimmy Butler's gone, it does make all the sense. And on the Locked On Heat pod, Wes and David do an awesome job. They debated this yesterday, Hoch. So I wrote it down. DeMar DeRozan for Andrew Wiggins, straight up. Do you do that deal if you're the Miami Heat?
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it. Are you joking? What would be the case for keeping Andrew Wiggins over DeMar DeRozan?
You could make the case, that Andrew Wiggins is the better overall player.
Did you watch Andrew Wiggins during his tenure with the Heat?
I get it. It's hard to build that case right now because of what all of us saw Andrew Wiggins look like. But you could build the case, and you could make the argument that Andrew Wiggins is the better overall player on both sides of the floor. You could.
Get out of here.
Okay, I'm not telling you
On a
he is.
day that Nick Wright comes out with the greatest take in sports talk history, you're coming out with would you keep Wiggins over DeRozan?
Straight up. You would trade Andrew Wiggins straight up for DeMar DeRozan?
I would ask, what else do I need to throw in? I wouldn't believe that Sacramento was willing to make that deal.
Yeah, see, I forgot I'm arguing with the leader of the DeMar DeRozan army. You think DeMar
I love
DeRozan
DeMar DeRozan.
is Michael Jordan. I forgot.
Getting Michael Jordan. I was just about to say that.
So Andrew Wiggins and 5 first-round picks for DeMar DeRozan?
Done. No, but I would give up more than Andrew Wiggins to get DeMar DeRozan.
No, you can't give up more than Andrew Wiggins for DeMar DeRozan. I'm not even entirely sure the Heat would give up Andrew Wiggins straight up for DeMar DeRozan. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure.
What?
I'm not entirely sure.
He didn't even look like he wanted to be here.
He was hurt. He missed half the games due to injury, and he was leaving a system where he was asked to be just a role player and put into a system where they said, hey, you know that guy Jimmy Butler you're replacing? We need you to do a lot of what he was doing.
And he didn't
and
do
he wasn't
it.
able. He wasn't able to, right? He wasn't able to.
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean he doesn't have it in his bag.
Go from being understudy to star of the show? I'd love it. I can't remember any of the lines. Okay. Well, let's try it anyway for 2 months worth of shows. Well, you're right. You didn't remember any of the lines. We're going to find someone else to play the role. Like, who would watch that for 2 months worth of shows and go, we think you might be onto something? Like, no.
It just
here. If I see that guy in a Heat uniform next season, if I see Terry Rozier in a Heat uniform next season, I won't be a fan of the NBA. I'm only going to root for the Dolphins and the Titans and the Chargers for Rondé Gadsden.
You're going to buy a Cam Ward?
I'll give up my
Cam Ward Titans jersey?
What's that?
Are you going to buy a Cam Ward Titans jersey?
No, I'm going to buy an Rondé Chargers jersey.
Yeah.
I'm not becoming jersey guy all of a sudden. You know, every day of the week I have a different jersey with a name on it.
Today's Jersey Tuesday, by the way. Appreciate you showing up with your LL Bean sweatshirt.
Yeah, that's a quarter zip. That's my jersey. Literally when I'm ready for game time, I put on the LL Bean quarter zip.
I mean, I pull out just a flawless, limited edition, retro Holland World Cup, or actually Euro 2004 Nike jersey. And you show up with an LL Bean sweatshirt that Gail from Light FM uses daily.
No one knows what you're wearing. No one knows what that is. Where'd you get that? TJ Maxx? You got the max for the minimum?
So Andrew Wiggins for DeMar DeRozan, straight up. You're saying 100%.
Oh,
no
my
question.
God. Somebody texted in, Andrew Wiggins cost the Miami Heat $218,000 per point.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing that Andrew Wiggins had a great year with the Miami Heat. It would be foolish to argue that. I know it's hard to take this side today, considering we all saw Andrew Wiggins lay the biggest egg ever after the trade deadline in Heat history. So, like, I get it. I'm not here.
I just can't even believe that
Andrew Wiggins.
A thought. I can't even believe it would be a thought.
Well,
DeMar DeRozan, he puts up 40 points without batting an eye.
For sure.
Did Andrew Wiggins do that at Golden State?
He solves he solves.
But isn't that so? Doesn't he fit the need more than Wiggins?
He solves your offensive issues 100%. In terms of, hey, you need somebody to just go get you a bucket. He does that for you. But does he make you outright a better team? He's not a good defender. He's a negative defender on the floor. And you're going to have Tyler Hero and DeMar DeRozan on the floor at the same time. I mean, there's legitimate matchup problems. Legitimate matchup
seed and got swept in the first round. How much worse could you be?
Okay, but you weren't the 10 seed because Andrew Wiggins stunk.
No, but what you're saying is, does DeMar DeRozan make you markedly better? But Andrew Wiggins doesn't. And either way, you're the 10 seed and you got, embarrassed by Cleveland. How much worse could it get?
Yeah, I think
you add DeMar DeRozan and take off Andrew Wiggins. You're the 12 seed in your lottery team.
Yeah, I think you could probably get something a little bit better for Andrew Wiggins around the NBA, whether it's assets or not. Instead of paying DeMar DeRozan $24 million this upcoming season,
That wasn't
and then
your question, though.
Yeah, I know. But I think it comes into play. He's on the books for 2 more seasons at $26
Well, ask
million.
the question differently then. Would I pull the trigger today, knowing that there's still time to play the market? Would I pull the trigger today, Wiggins for DeRozan straight up?
I think I would too.
I
But
would
I don't
pull the
think
trigger today.
I don't think it's as
Today.
surefire as a lot of Heat fans are going to
I
make
do.
it sound like, because we're all frustrated as hell with how the season ended and frustrated as hell with Andrew Wiggins and how he played in the playoffs.
It's a great point from one of the texters. DeRozan shoots 103% from the field. I know what Solana's doing, by the way. He's couching his opinion until the Heat get rid of Wiggins. And once they get rid of him, he's going to tell you what a bum this guy was. But while he's still on the roster, and Solana being the Heat apologist that he is, he will refuse to take any, like, no one's untouchable until they're gone. And then he couldn't figure out why they were wasting space on the roster in the first place.
I think there's some upside to Terry Rozier next year. Here's why.